Good morning and welcome home to Monte Vista Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Carissa Moore. I am the treasurer of your board of trustees, and here are today's announcements. To start, I'm going to bring up Maribel Dana for an announcement about the Inland Valley Hope Partners Beta Center.
Good morning to all of you and to people watching from home online. I have been taking our gifts over to Beta Center almost since Rita Salama moved back to Wenatchee, Washington, because she used to do that. So I've learned a few things while I've been doing this. And first of all, I really want to thank you for your very generous donations that I take over to the Beta Center at least every other week. The bag is usually full. And I need, though, to ask for your help in making sure that we only give our best efforts to Beta. Beta Center is one of several groups connected to Hope Partners, which is an interfaith group in the Pomona Valley. And Beta Center is located on Gary Avenue, near the Purpose Church in Pomona. Well, recently I learned that the Beta Center will not take any food goods that are over 2 months later than the expiration date. So most of us would probably use those goods, up to 6 months or maybe longer. But it's a state law. They can't use it more than 2 months later than the expiration date. Last week, someone left us 19 boxes of food that stack up about this high. They're in room 3 right now. And we can't give this away very easily because about 80% appears to be years older than expiration dates would allow us to do. We were able to cull 1 box from 6 boxes that we attempted to go through. And I have 13 more boxes to explore. If anybody has the ability to sort and help me over the next few Sundays, we can get some of the usable food over to those who need it. Thank you very much.
In addition to collecting for the Beta Center, if I can put my treasurer hat on for a minute, we are also still collecting for our August Share the Plate recipient, the Prison Library Project. And if you are inclined to donate for the gift we got Alan Worley to thank him for his service during his presidency, we are also still collecting for that as well. So if you're writing a check or you're donating via PayPal, please specify where you want it to go. In the memo line, on PayPal, there's a little drop-down menu. If you're donating cash and you want it to go to a particular place, please place it in an envelope. There's some on the back table by Jerry, and specify where you want it to go. If you just put plain cash in the offering basket, then it gets divided between the general fund and our Share the Plate recipient. Okay, enough of the money. Our upcoming services, August 20th, is Becoming a Green Sanctuary, presented by the Green Sanctuary team. August 27th the topic is Befriending Change. September 3rd, the topic is Let's Celebrate Labor. And you're doing that with Ben Williams, correct? Yes. And then September 10th is our ingathering. Now Some of you may have noticed that was previously scheduled for the end of August. That has been moved so that the choir will be able to join us, because the choir is on break right now. Other announcements, hospitality still needs help with our coffee hour. So if you are so inclined, please talk to one of the wonderful ladies back in the kitchen after the service. Other upcoming events, on Tuesday, the Board of Trustees is meeting at 6:30. You are welcome to log in to that on Zoom, and I promise you it will be very boring. If you're looking for something a little more exciting, also on Tuesday, Taco Tuesday is on Zoom at 7 p.m. That is infinitely more exciting. Wednesday, the 16th, there is the Gathering Around Grief group at 7 p.m. here in the Founders Room. On Thursday, August 31st, choir rehearsal resumes at 7 p.m. So, what? What, September 7th? Oh. The announcement said the 31st. Okay, so September 7th. So if you are interested in joining the choir and have any musical talent whatsoever, please feel free to show up and lend your voice. And then on August 26th, that is a Saturday, we have Reverend Ellen's 90th birthday fiesta. Yay! And to tell us more about that, I'm going to bring up our board vice president, Debbie Skirto.
Good morning, everybody. I have a few things to share with you about the party. We're hoping that you will come feeling festive, and you will wear bright colors, even if you have Mexican clothes or whatever you want like that. You don't have to be a costume, but just bright and cheerful. And also, we're really looking forward to having RSVPs from as many people as we can get now, because it helps us plan the food. We will have a limit on how many plates we can serve, so we really want to know now who is really excited to come. It's from 4 to 8. It's going to be a taco bar, tacos, rice beans, salad, salsa, chips, cake, all those kind of things. And if you're making your donation, which we suggested as $20 for the donation because it's a fundraiser too, we would like you to put a memo line that says Ellen's Party or fundraiser, whichever you prefer, on your check or an envelope. Also, very important, if you would like to say a few words within about 3-minute time limits, please let me know so we can put that in the program, because we're making the program up too. So if you have any questions, see me. I won't always have the sombrero on, but I think you can find me, and I hope you will come and let us know. I have a book to keep track of your RSVPs, so let me know today if you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Carissa and Maribel, and welcome, Mabuhay. It is good to be here with all of you today, and a special warm greeting to those who are joining us online. Come, whoever you are, as we offer our warm welcome to one another and those who might be watching this recording at a later time. My name is Reverend Maggie Yenoki. I see we have some visitors here that I haven't gotten to meet yet, so I look forward to saying hello during our coffee hour that follows the service. But this, something that we haven't really talked much about, but last year at this time, if you remember, we were all busy planning and working for our 70th birthday celebration. It's been a whole year, yeah? We'll be starting our 71st year as a congregation after the 20th. So next Sunday will be the actual day, anniversary day or birthday of our congregation. So we look forward to at least mentioning that. But that party was pretty great, and we are really looking forward to having another one on the 26th when we celebrate Reverend Ellen turning 90. Incredible. She said, all I want to do is dance, so There will be dancing, yes. That's right. Well, that's a big one. You've been working on this one a while, so I'm really, really looking forward to it. But to open our service this morning, let's join our voices together to celebrate all of us that have birthdays. And raise your hands. Anybody has a birthday in August? Ellen, we know you do. Yes. Oh, you do, Glenn. Yeah, great. Who else? Robert? Anybody in the sound booth? No? Oh, okay. My mistake. Sorry, Jaryus. But I invite you all, let's sing together. And when we sing happy birthday, when we get to the name, we'll just say August babies. Okay? Let's sing. Beautiful, beautiful. We start our service by a ringing of the bowl. We ring it 3 times for yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Once for those who came before, the ancestors and those who have recently joined them. We ring it for the indigenous peoples who tended this land long ago and first called it home. And for the founding members of this congregation whose vision brings us here after over 71 years. We ring it once for those of us here and now. For all of us gathered here, those joining us online, for our staff, our visitors, our friends, our sustaining members, and our partnership congregation on the island of Negros in the Philippines, all of whom support and illumine our journey together. And once for those who will come, for all who will find safe belonging here among us and make MV UUC their spiritual home in the days just ahead. I invite you to stand as you are comfortable, and we'll sing together our opening song, number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Please be seated. I'd like to invite Jill Rigel to come forward. She'll be lighting our chalice this morning. look at you go. Yeah, thank you. We light this chalice and open this gathering into a circle of creation and connection, reminded that we are each precious to its forming, and that our best outcome is found in our interactions with each other. Bringing, offering, and receiving are ordinary and extraordinary gifts. We call out of each other a compassion, a strength, and a wisdom. We are welcomed here with wonder, belonging, and appreciation. Blessed be. I invite you now to stand again as you're willing and comfortable. We will read together our covenant of our congregation, and we'll be following that right away by singing Spirit of Life, first in English and then in Spanish. We affirm that love is the greatest purpose of this congregation. The search for truth is our constant star, and service is our prayer. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to find hope in times of fear, and to live out our Unitarian Universalist values every day as beloved community. So thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life. I'd like to invite Robert Tidwell, our Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration, for our wisdom tale for today.
Our wisdom tale today is called Kasa the Strong One, and it's from the Mendi people of West Africa. Kasa Genania was very strong, and he knew it. And one day, he went hunting. His friends Iri Ba Jalema and Congo Ba Farah came with him. They had rifles, but did Kasa? No. He carried only a long pole. Guess who took down 20 antelope? Was it Iri or Congo? No. It was Kasa Genana with his long iron pole. Iri and Congo helped Kasa drag the antelope into a clearing, and now they needed firewood. Kasa said to Iri, "You guard the meat while Congo and I go and get some firewood." So Iri stayed in the clearing, and before long, a huge bird swooped overhead. It shouted, "Should I take some of your meat, or should I take you?" What would you say? Take the meat, take the meat. That's what I would say. That is what Iri said. And after a time, Kasa Genania and Congo Ba Farah returned to the clearing. Kasa saw immediately that one of the antelope were missing. And he said, "What happened? Where's the meat?" When Iri told him about the bird, Kasa shouted, "You should have told the bird to take you." Erie sighed, and Casa turned to Congo. This time, Erie and I will go and get some firewood, and you can guard the meat. So Congo stayed in the clearing, and before long, a huge bird swooped overhead, and it called out, "Shall I take some meat, or shall I take you?" What would you say? Take the meat, is what I would say. And that is what Congo said. And after a time, Casa and Erie returned to the clearing, and Casa saw immediately that one antelope was missing and said, "What happened? Where is the meat?" When Congo told him about the bird, Casa shouted, "You should have told the bird to take you. This time, you two go get firewood, and I will guard the meat." Before long, a huge bird swooped overhead. It called out, "Shall I take the meat, or shall I take you?" "Neither," shouted Casa. As he jumped up and he swung his long pole, he swung it again and again until he scared the bird out of sight. He puffed up his chest with pride, but he was too quick. A feather had come loose from that bird, and it drifted down and down and down, and it landed on Casa Ganania's chest. Oh, it was so heavy. It knocked him right to the ground. Struggle as he might, he couldn't get up again. After a time, what he felt was like an impossibly long time, his two friends returned to the clearing. They tried and tried to lift the feather, but it was so heavy. They could not budge the feather, and so Casa remained trapped on the ground. A young woman had entered the clearing by then, and she carried her baby on her back. She was surprised to see strong Casa stuck lying on the ground. She was surprised that his friends couldn't help him. But do you think she knew about the way Casa liked to brag? Do you think she knew that Casa was sometimes unkind to his friends? Do you think she saw the world a little differently than Casa saw it? Oh, yes. And do you think that young woman was curious? Oh, yes. And her curiosity gave her the courage to walk right over to Casa Ganania, and she saw that the feather was still heavy, and she was curious about it. She couldn't pick it up, and instead, she bent right over Casa, took a deep breath, and blew as hard as she could. The feather lifted up and up and up and flew away. The woman caught it in her hand and gave it to her baby to play with, and walked out of the clearing. Congo and Erie smiled a little. Casa Ganania stared at her after a long time. I wonder what happened. I wonder whether he treated his friends a little differently after that. And I wonder whether his friends treated him a little differently. And I wonder what that woman and her baby did with the feather. Perhaps they used it to tickle away someone else's foolish pride. And now is when we would typically have the kids come up and get the chalice, but I think I left it down in RE. So you guys can sing us to our classes, and we will go and light it down there.
Great time, you guys. Enjoy. As Carissa mentioned, our MVUUC's Share the Plate recipient for August is the Prison Library Project of Claremont Forum, whose mission it is to provide incarcerated individuals across the country with free reading resources that have an emphasis on education and self-improvement literature. As one of the nation's largest book-to-prisoner programs, volunteers receive more than 300 request letters a week from inmates, and they send out over 10,000 book packages every year. Our donations each Sunday in August are split 50-50 for the undesignated offerings. They will help to ensure that these special request deliveries continue to happen. For more information, you can see the link in our community connections or visit their website at claremontforum.org, Prison Library Project. Sharing from our abundance is a privilege, and it's an expression of compassion that blesses us individually and as a congregation. Giving generously from a grateful heart is one of the ways that we live out our desire to be good stewards of this congregation. our congregation, that we support through our gifts of time, talent, and treasure. We invite you to bring your offerings online by clicking on the donate button in the electronic order of service or in the link in the Zoom chat box. Thank you, Jaryus, for adding that in. Or click the donate button on the homepage of our website. But for those of us here in the sanctuary who wish to bring an offering that you have brought with you, please come forward now and leave your gifts and non-perishable items for the Beta Center that are not past their date for the Inland Valley Hope Partners on the altar. It is with deep gratitude for the many gifts of our community that our offerings will now be given and received. Thank you, and thank you, Lily. Also, thank you to Jill for donating the flowers that are there with Lily, too. Thank you. Joys and concerns are an important part of our service each week, and those who are among us today, some of the folks have written out things that they would like to share with you. We also call them our delights and our disappointments, things that are hard in our lives right now and things that are bringing us great joy. I have several here, but before I start, let's just take a few moments of silence for Lahaina. Our Ohana, our family, in the traumatic event that we all recognize all too well as Californians, that catastrophic wildfire fueled by climate change brings terror to all forms of life, and it devastates the history and heritage of our people. Take just a moment of silence for the people on Maui as they struggle. It does seem that the joys and the sorrows in our lives are coming closer together, maybe like birth pangs. But one of our beloved members, our own Carissa, who's here with us today, is suffering a great sorrow. She shares that on Thursday, August 10th, her little gray shadow of 13 years, her cat Normal, crossed the Rainbow Bridge after a 3-month battle with erythroid leukemia. She passed in her favorite place, held in Carissa's arms and laying against her chest. This is such great joy, and a continued source where we send our loving prayers and energies and wishes to Letha. It is so wonderful to have you and Alan back with us this week after far too long as you recovered. Letha writes, I'm making a wonderful recovery from her hip replacement surgery. It is good to be back. It is good to have you back. Thank you. This one comes from Debbie Skirdo. She writes, my daughter Erin is here in California from Alabama for a case. She must be, is she a lawyer or something? Yeah, she's here for work. Okay. I got to spend most of yesterday with her. Good. The two sisters had a great visit too. That's wonderful. Thank you, Debbie, for sharing that. And joy from Ellen Livingston. Today is National Left-Handers Day. So anyone who is a left-hander, raise your left hand so we can celebrate you. Anybody in the sound booth? Yay! Thank you all very much. Thank you. And oh, what a mix it is. The laughter and the tears of our lives and our days, they just keep blending and keep swirling together. I am filled with joy to see Jim Craig here today, my traveling partner, as we went to visit our partner congregation in the Philippines. Jim was on the trip with me. Good to see you again. And for all of those other joys and concerns that remain swirling in our hearts, unspoken at this time, we light our candle of hope and witness. I also invite anyone here in the congregation who would like to come forward and light a candle for their own private intention. Please join me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. I will quote a bit of poetry from Julia Fahrenbacher, and that will be shared by a time of shared silence before we sing our gentle song, Return Again. So come as you are, come into this space that is created for our prayers, our intentions, and our longings. Come as you are and bring your compassion for one another, your sore hearts weary with grief, and your precious joys. Because here together we can know that our hope matters, and the actions that we take together to make a difference do just that. There is no need to make it fancy. Let us simply tell the truth the way the mourning dove tells the truth. No mincing of words, not trying to impress. She perches there on the tallest branch of the oak and pours out whatever is there in her body. Could it be that this is all that we ever need to do? To open our mouths and let the truth of our aching pour out, sinking in deep, the way that only truth can. Our reading today comes from David White. It's my guess that he has several fans here among us. It's from his book Consolations, and the title is Longing. Longing is the transfiguration of a loneliness, the defenseless interior secret core of a person, receiving its overdue invitation from the moon, the stars, the night horizon, and the great tidal flows of life and love. A longing is a divine discontent, the unendurable present, finding a physical doorway to awe and discovery that frightens and emboldens, humiliates and beckons, makes us into pilgrim souls and sets us on a road that starts in the center of the body and then leads out, like an uncaring invitation, like a comet's tail. Felt like both an unrelenting ache and a tidal pull. At one and the same time, making us willing to give up our perfect house, our paid-for home, and all of our accumulated belongings. Longing is felt through the lens and ache of the body, magnifying and bringing the horizon close, as if the horizon were both a lifetime's journey away and living deep inside at some unknown core. As if we were coming home into a beautifully familiar, condensed strangeness. Longing has its own secret future destination and its own seasonal emergence from within, a ripening from the core, a seed growing in our own bodies. It is as if we are put into a relationship with an enormous distance inside us, leading back to some unknown origin with its own secret timing, indifferent to our wills, and gifted at the same time with an intimate sense of proximity to a future, to a transformation, to a life we want for ourselves, and to the beauty of the sky and the ground that surrounds us. Longing is nothing without its dangerous edge, which cuts and wounds us while setting us free, and beckons us exactly because of the human need to invite the right kind of peril. The foundational instinct that we are here essentially to risk ourselves for the world, that we are a form of invitation to others and otherness, that we are meant to hazard ourselves for the right thing, for the right work, or for a gift given against all the odds. For in our longing, we move, and we are moving from a known but abstract elsewhere to a beautiful, about to be reached someone, something, or somewhere that we want to call our own. I didn't realize, Jaryus, I just want to mention how in sync we can all be without even really noticing. I wore my ocean clothes today. This is my stole with, I'll show it to you all later, but there's all kinds of ocean creatures all over it, and I just love that background. We're so fortunate to have the ocean so close to us. And I was fortunate to have a pastoral care visit this past week that was filled with as many gifts for me as there were for her. Reverend Dory Summers is a UU minister and poet. She's living with her children here in Upland now, making meaning in her days with her loved ones nearby, embracing and despite a new aspect to her identity, hospice care. Life's moments unfold into new experiences for her now, in this, her dying time. Yet her spirit is still very curious and very engaged, and she finds every moment filled with possibility beyond what she's ever imagined. And as her hand reaches over to touch mine, to hold mine, she tells me that she's glad we have one another. Minister to minister, I'm moved by that and grateful. Grateful that at these last days held within the framework of her end of life, she deemed it important to be a minister and to speak words of connection, while the connections that she has made in her life continue to come undone, slowly undone. But for Dory, in that space that we made together, it was what mattered most. When this sermon topic of what matters most came bounding into my meditations, I thought, oh yeah, that's a good one, that's a good one. Curious about how it would unfold, as I wrote the title down, I quickly added a big question mark. Because without that punctuation, what matters most is kind of a capstone and a conclusion. It's an end point, but phrased as a question. What matters most? We find ourselves in an open-ended conversation that leads us onward into deeper places. What matters most is our invitation to inquiry without any inkling of where we might or where we should land. I knew from the start that this sermon wasn't going to offer overambitious answers or conclusions. I hope I never do that. But I didn't want to be coming in with flow charts and bullet points and facts about what mattered or what didn't. And I certainly didn't want to start off with a limit to our exploration into what matters most in our lives. So where did the research begin? On social media, of course. I went to a venue where most people have no hesitation whatsoever when asked to offer their opinions, Facebook. And I posted the question on my profile in just 3 words. What matters most? The 35 responses that were posted pretty quickly after offer a glimpse of the diversity that we might expect. Reverend Beth Johnson, who served in ministry here several years ago, responded, love. And over 1/3 of the responses were the same as hers. But others were justice, kindness, love in action. One said, family, but maybe it should be something loftier. Another said mutual care, harmony, light, energy, memories. 2 people just sent me pictures of their babies. Other answers were our planet, nature, friends, peace, kindness born out of concern for all life, the interdependent web. Open communication and open-minded people, God, the earth, because without her we have no life and nothing matters. Showing up, clean air and water, a diversified portfolio. Living life to the fullest, good health, peace of mind. And while none of the responses were extraordinary, every answer was meaningful and reflected the current perspective of the respondent. And there was no wrong answer. Yet every answer offers to tell us a deeper story. I'd want to know more from the person that doesn't think their family is lofty. But being asked what matters most requires that we sift through our values and ethics. Our answer to what matters most reflects our current state of mind, and asking that question is a question that we do well to carry all the time as a valuable tool to filter our understanding of any situation that we find ourselves in. I wish that I had used it in many difficult conversations in the past. What matters most here? What matters most? Do I try to convince my 92-year-old dad how to vote? Or do I keep quiet and create a space to hear his very real fear about what the world is coming to? What matters most isn't set in stone or framed by precedents. What matters most is fluid. And in these unusual times, it needs to be even more so. In the past, we may have had only one answer to the query and used that well-grounded perspective of what matters most to guide the better parts of our lives. Maybe we can hear ourselves in the past saying, "My faith matters most to me and it guides all of my decisions. My job is at the center of my life. And my family is the very core of my day-to-day living." But holding firm to the simplicity of the past doesn't allow us the vision or the capacity to touch and heal the present. We need new responses now. Our personal answers for what matters most have most likely been reshaped in many ways and by many events in the recent past. The significant amount of change that we're facing in our lives right now is asking that of us in ways that maybe we've never considered. Strength in expanding our vision for what matters most is required to keep ourselves centered when troubles come, as they tend to do. But our capacity to hold on to one another and lean in when the winds of change are blowing is a valuable coping mechanism for us as individuals, and even more so as a spiritual community. We protect and value one another's health in new ways since COVID came. We lock our arms against the racism that matters more than ever, as we become braver and wiser to notice it and stop it with new awareness. We commit to a deeper, more active relationship to the earth that matters to us more than it ever has. Our compassion for each other's journey matters in ways that engages all of us. And we pause today as we hold in heart those in Lahaina, Maui, whose lives are shifting and coming undone as we speak. They matter most to us right now, as their vision of what matters most is being reshaped by the trauma of Tuesday's fire that took every physical item from their lives. And while we can't know how it actually works, we can know that our compassion has an impact, and our action connects us deeply to the forces that will bring healing to those people. We keep one another held strong by our stopping and our seeing and our acknowledging and acting on what matters most. Because what matters most is the well-being of everyone, all beings. It's not up to any one of us. It's up to every one of us. And how fortunate we are to have one another to lean on and to work beside as we find our way forward as a spiritual community that seeks to do a world of good in a world of cultural change. It's important to our future and our identity that we gather here on Sundays and we take the time to open the seen and unseen forces of the spirit of life that we come here to seek to guide us through the times of change and discernment. Asking what matters most is nothing less than that. It's a question that acknowledges that some things do matter, and it takes that fact that we care, and it pushes on that caring heart a bit to invite it into a deeper discernment for empowering us toward a knowing. So when we hear the answers within and we ask what matters most, we're also asking what matters enough. What matters enough to change us and to keep us growing? It's about knowing ourselves well, to engage deeply in the conversations that are needed to help with discerning the best steps for us as a whole now, all while preparing a way in for all those who need us, those who will come because they need to be here with us. This is the work of a healthy, growing spiritual community where truth is our constant star and service is our prayer. To be a community that knows what matters most, knows that it's fluid, and knows that it can and will change. It's a community that discerns from a place of wisdom and experience, with a willingness to embrace what's necessary for the future and our place within it. So may we be engaged as deeply as we're called, as the path forward for us opens wider and our shifting structure is shaped by the needs that we see. Our shift from committees to teams, from wishes and longings to a sense of wholeness, and our path becomes more and more clear, not unlike the mountain that I climbed in Kalapayan, filled with open-hearted availability and a deep, deep curiosity and excitement about what is ahead. May it be so. Blessed be. And amen. Jill, if you could come forward and extinguish our chalice, we will read aloud together our benediction to one another. We leave this gathered community, but not our connection or our sense of belonging. In our being together, we have inspired our hearts, our faith, and our care for the world. So until we gather again, friends, let's be strong, be well, and be kind. And let's continue our conversation on the patio over some refreshments after we enjoy Lily's postlude.